I want to say good evening to everyone out there in radio land, podcast land. Guess what? It is the final week 16 in the NFL, and all games, all bets are in. The Atlanta Falcons won their last ball game of the season. My God. We're going to talk about that. The Atlanta Falcons decided to keep their head coach. We're going to talk about that. But before we start talking, let me let you guys know where you can catch us at here. We're on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, iHeartRadio. Tell your friends to do a search for TheMikeisHot. That is The Mike is Hot. You can email us at themikeishot@gmail.com. And any questions, any concerns, any shows you want to talk about, we do play-by-play along with this show we listen to tonight. The Mike is Hot. I got my main man, Big Time, on the other end, and Big Time said he is hot. He is hot. He got to let it off some steam tonight. Big Time, what's going on?
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Good evening. I'm so glad to be back on the night. It's a pleasure to be brought to you this evening and be on the mic with my partner, D. Oh, my goodness. We got a lot to talk about with this season.
We got a lot to talk about.
This season is over.
The season is finally over.
This season is over.
Even though Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's over, my Lord. I got to get it off my chest. I can't wait. It's just, I'm so mad today, Lord.
Hold on. We'll get there. Let me just clear some things right first, and we're going to jump right in there with you in just a second. Just want to remind everybody before we get on this Falcon here, because we're going to hit on the Falcon. We're going to talk about the coaching decision, because tomorrow is Black Monday, folks. Tomorrow is Black Monday for some of the coaches in the NFL. From what we heard, that is not for our coach, Dan Quinn, and general manager, Dimitrov, because Arthur Blank spoiled the party. And we upset about that, right? That Big Time. We upset about that. I am upset about it, but I've had a change of heart after I thought about this thing. Oh my goodness. That's just like you, Big Time. He it happens on Sunday and on Monday. You have a change of heart, but you know what? We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that, folks. I'm pissed, folks. I'm pissed like I was last time I came on. I talked about some stuff and excuse me, get too loud. I got to get it out, though, folks. There's some stuff that we got to get out. I got to release some steam today. Big Time got to release some steam. Want you to sit back, relax, call a friend, tell a friend that the mic is hot right now. The mic is hot right now. Don't go nowhere. Ready, Big Time?
Yes, indeed. Let's go. I'm
gonna cut the music down a little bit. We're gonna jump right into this thing. We're gonna smooth right off on it. Okay.
Yes,
okay, folks. The Atlanta Falcons. We're gonna start off with the news we heard this week. Arthur Blank came up, I think it was Thursday or Friday, he came out and announced that his choice for the 2020 season will remain Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitrov. I want to know what you guys think about it out there. I want to email, I want to text. The next show, we'll do it live so we all can talk about it. But Big Time said he was upset at first, but now he's thinking differently. So I'm going to open the mic up and let Big Time explain to me why he. Well, go ahead, Big Time. What do you think? What's your take?
Well, let me say this right here, ladies and gentlemen. You know, like Dennis said, we got the news this week, and it was shocking to many of us, and there were a lot who wasn't as shocked because they thought this would happen. And I was sitting on the fence, ladies and gentlemen. What I mean by that, I thought it would happen, and there's a part of me wanted it to happen. But as I thought about it later, which is where we are now, I have some other concerns about the move, which I believe may not have been the worst move of what Arthur Blank did. That's where I am. Now, let me say from the beginning. Yeah, I believe early on with the 1-7 start that this should have been a shakeup in the coaching staff. 1-7 start, this team was not that bad when you look at the player personnel. We knew it had to be something. All right. At the mid-break, the Falcons came out, and since that time, ladies and gentlemen, we sit here tonight, the Falcons have won 6 out of the last 8 games. They won 6 out of the last 8 games, and of those 6 games they won, 2 of those wins were on the road against two top winningest teams in the NFL this year. And with that 6-2 last 8 games, it now pushes me in a category of kind of leaning towards agreeing with what Arthur Blank did.
Hold on 1 second. 1 second. 1 second. I'm gonna throw a little salt into the game. I just happened to look on my desk, and I picked up this sheet here. It has early season predictions, and at the bottom of the sheet it says Eddie Big Time Mills, and at a total wins, you predicted. You tell me if I'm correct or if I'm wrong. You predicted that the Falcons would win 12 games and lose 4 and make the playoffs. Now, out of all fairness, I'm going to tell you what I predicted, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. You can elaborate on why you said what you said then and what's the difference between then and now. Now, I said on my prediction of the 2019 season that the Falcons will win 10 games and lose 6. And if I remember correctly, I was really hesitant about giving them 10 because I didn't like what I saw in the preseason. So, big time out of all fairness, let us know why you picked 12 games and why your decision changed now. I'm not meaning to put you on the spot, but I mean, you say you had some changes, so I'm trying to figure out, maybe you can tell me something to make me change my mind about the Falcons.
Well, I picked 12 wins, which was a high number, because I believe the Falcons as a team were just going to be that good this year. Let me say that first. I didn't just throw it out there because that was a number. I looked at the quality of players they had on this team and the fact that they've been together, the core team has been together. And then when I put in fact that Dan Quinn, along with the new coaching staff, I thought that they were had the ability to win that many games. Mm-hmm. Okay? Uh-huh. I thought there's another part of me said that New Orleans was probably going to have a slip this year, maybe some injuries. I didn't think the Panthers nor the Buccaneers would be as good as they could have been. That's why I picked 12.
Okay.
Well, let me say this. You, me, and most people follow this team felt like the Falcons were going to have a pretty good year. If anybody said they were going to go 6-10 or have a low number, most people would look at them like, you just really don't believe in what they have. So having said that, yeah, they had a very, very disappointing year. I think the Falcons themselves know they underachieved this year. Now, here's one thing I will give you credit for, which should lead into where we are now. You said early on, based on the poor environment they had in the preseason, specifically in playing certain players and really coming out trying to play as a unit. You said yourself, you predicted that it probably would be a rough start coming out of the gate.
I did.
You said that.
I did.
And that proved to be true. In fact, it proved to be more true than what you said you thought it would be. Let me add this. You were at one time during a general conversation you and I had that you had picked the Falcons to go, I think, 9-game wins, 8-9 games.
Yeah.
And I recall during one of our radio shows, I convinced you, I believe, because you told me later in our personal conversation that we had, that you bumped that number up because the Falcons later on went back and signed the field goal kicker in Matt Bryant.
No, was it Matt Bryant or Julio Jones?
No, they signed Matt Bryant.
Okay.
When they went back and picked up Matt Bryant just before the season started,
right?
said you bumped it up because you felt like, and which was correct, this guy will, if he's on this ball club, if we're in situations where we scoring field goals, he will be very vital to keeping us where we need to be.
Exactly.
That's why you bumped it up a number.
Right. And
Okay.
if I can, I'll explain to you why. Or do you want me?
Right.
Or do you want to finish? You want to tell you after you finish?
Well, let me finish my point. Then you can talk. Well, that didn't pan out with Matt Bryant, and obviously, the season in the early prediction you made about the slow start, that proved to be really true. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, that's what caused us to be where we are today with the season being where it is. The Falcons are a good enough team that they could at least made the playoffs. And we had picked up we lost 7 games before the Falcons made a change.
7.
So we picked up 7 games. We were 1-7 at the bye week. If the Falcons had picked up three of those wins that we should have gotten, like we shouldn't have lost to Arizona, we shouldn't have lost to Tennessee, and we definitely shouldn't have lost to Indianapolis. That would have put us at 10 wins to where we are today. That would have leaked. And I'm talking about still this other game that we probably could have won. If out of the 7, I'm giving us 3. That means 4 games, 4 other teams. We still probably should have beat one of them. But I'm saying even at 4 losses, say if we win in that first 8 games, we went 3-5. Right now, we will be 10-6. We would have been 10-6, ladies and gentlemen, if we had won 3 out of the first. If we had won 3 more out of the first 7 games that we lost.
Yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Let me give you my rant on this thing. Let me give you my take, and I'm going all the way back to the prediction show. I'm going all the way back to the prediction show because I'm pissed off now, and I was pissed off then. You, myself, and several others, we do a prediction show at the beginning of the season. Our prediction show goes on after the last preseason game. We can talk about who we're going to pick before then and what we think the season will be. We even go as far as looking at each team and maybe predicting what team they should beat and what team we think they will beat throughout the schedule. Now, the problem I had with this year, and I spoke about it before, and I'm going to say it again then, we had a 4-game preseason this year. We had 5 preseason games. From what I saw from the practices with Julio being off, Matt Ryan not practicing, Julio not practicing, even though Julio was there a lot of time because this year he was trying to get a new contract. A lot of time he didn't practice. I didn't like that at all. I know that would put the team back because Matt Ryan as a quarterback needs his starting receiver on the field so he can be able to read defense better and throw the ball and know where they're going to be at certain times, a little stuff like that. I didn't like that fact. I think, if I'm not mistaken, our starters might have played in 1 of the 5 preseason ball games. And for me, preseason means a lot in the NFL because it's a certain speed. It's practice speed. It's the speed you come with preseason. It's like starting an engine up. You just don't get in the car and take off running. And if you haven't been through the preseason, you haven't went through all the plays and got everybody loosened up and got everybody on the field. Then by the time the season starts, we hitting full strength. Everything's 100%. And I just didn't feel that we were ready when that time hit. Dan Quinn was more concerned about taking his starters out of the ball game or not even playing his starters. Why? I don't know. On the other hand, the New Orleans Saints, I watched those guys as well. They are starting their starters. They are playing longer than most teams would play because they were playing like they were getting ready to win a championship, to win a division, which they did win a division as of today. And these guys have a really good chance of going through winning several playoff games and possibly playing in the Super Bowl. Now, I do a comparison. I want to watch the team. I want to see who's some of the better teams out there. New Orleans and our division, yeah, you got to watch those teams because your division determines how you play against your division team. New England, watch a team like that. And I just didn't see a lot coming from the Falcons. I didn't see I didn't see Dan Quinn putting a lot into it. And that's one of my main reasons because I didn't like the way he coached. Second of all, he decided upon himself that he's going to be the defensive coordinator. Well, I said, well, if he's going to be the defensive coordinator, who's going to be the coach? I mean, it's a tough job to try to coach and be the defensive coordinator at the same time. In other words, who's going to check the defensive coordinator's, who's going to check his work? If you're the head coach and you know everything, well, and exactly what I said happened. Started out the first of the season, players not ready to play, players getting injured because they're not ready to play. It took 7-8 ball games before these players woke up and started playing football. And for Dan Quinn as a head coach to wake up and decide that, wait a minute, you know what? Bye week, I can't do this anymore. The fans all over him, the media's all over him, realizing this guy's got to go. We were talking about the kicker earlier. Yeah, I like the fact that they brought the kicker back, but the thing was, you bring it back 2 or 3 weeks, he's sitting, was it about a month? He's sitting on the sofa drinking adult beverages, laying back, not even practicing. So he thinks he don't have a job anymore. You go out and get this other kicker, bring him in, he can't kick a field goal. So that throws the chemistry off on his game as a kicker. Now he's under pressure to come back and do something that he's been doing all year long. So therefore, I thought, I think they should have brought him back and let him play like he always played. But somebody made the smart decision that, hey, look, we're going to move on without him and move on to this new cat. So you end up bringing him back. And when you bring him back, his time is off. He's missing kicks, so you end up getting rid of him, and you end up getting another kicker in the second half of the season. This season was all screwed up. And mostly what all happened, I'm talking a lot. I'm going to break and say let you jump in here. But it's all screwed up because of the coaching decisions not to play certain players, decisions to release players, the decisions, it's Dan Quinn's fault. That's my decision. What's your take?
And you're right. And you're right, D, in everything you said. Let me echo some of the things you already said, because we were being in agreement with that. Even though, let me add to that first. You're right. When they didn't play, Freeman didn't play in the preseason. Debo on the defense side, several defense players didn't play in the preseason. And this is what Dan Quinn's philosophy has been the entire time since he's been a Falcon. He doesn't play the preseason and take the preseason approach like he takes toward the season. And that's why we didn't win but one preseason game, and win and losses doesn't matter in preseason, but the approach that we have. And it proved to be a problem. We had a kicker. We let Matt Bryant go because he wanted more money, and the Falcons made the best decision in that era based on what this guy was asking and based on his age. Well, the kicker that they hired last year, he proved to be early this year as a failure. He was missing field goals. And that's when they decided to bring this guy back, and he wasn't ready. Now, that wasn't as major as we are talking about it, because a lot of our games this year didn't come down on field goals. We just flat out got beat on the defensive side of the ball. I think the biggest mistake that was made was Dan Quinn in whoever decision it was, and for Dan Quinn to agree with it, that he be the head coach and defensive coordinator. I think that was the biggest mistake of all.
Thomas Dimitroff agreed with him. He accepted that fact. He take on just as much responsibility as Dan Quinn, because he let it happen.
Yes, because what happened here was these guys out there were lost on defense. I argue with many others that our offense in the first half of the year was not as bad. Yeah, we didn't score a lot of points in a few of those games. I can name 4 of them that we scored 10, maybe 12 points out of. But when a team jump up on you big numbers, you can't stay with your offensive set when you playing from behind. And that's what happened in all our first 8 games. We were playing from behind. In the one game we won against Philly, we had to come from behind to get that win at the end of the game.
Sure did.
So it threw our offense off, because we got to now go away from our play. We can't run the ball and play a controlled, well-balanced game. We got to throw the ball. And that threw some interceptions. So it was all predicated on the defense. Well, with Dan Quinn, ladies and gentlemen, realized at the break, and maybe it took him that long because it took them a period of 2 weeks to sort of hash things out. That's what the break is about, for you to analyze the first half of your season and look at going forward. And that's when he realized, I got to hand this job over to somebody else. And guess what happened? When he did that, look how much better our defense played in the second half. It still doesn't give credit to the fact that the season was lost before the decision was made to make the change. We were out of it at the break. We were done. We were done, ladies and gentlemen. At the 1-7, when we went 1-7, and although there was 8 games left in the season, there was no way of us to come back and make the playoffs. So while what we did on the second half was good, it still didn't have the overall impact that me, Dennis, and many others expected. This team here is a playoff team, and they should have been in the playoffs. And they were not in the playoffs because of the poor decision by upper management and that coach on the sideline.
I agree. And folks, big time, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And there's a lot of things about the Falcons this year I didn't like, and I hate to say, and all these, all decisions made by Dan Quinn, Dimitroff, our owner, one of the greatest owners in NFL football, I believe. I love Arthur Blank. I think he does a great job for the fan base and for the fans, and creating. He made it really fantastic for the fan base here in Atlanta, Georgia. But I still don't understand. I would hope someone would email me. I hope big time. Maybe you can tell me. I think you said you have had a change of thought. Why did Arthur Blank, after what happened this season? Now, this is the second season. I know last year we had some injuries, but it's up to coaches. I mean, I don't know, man. What made him change his mind and decide to keep Dan Quinn as the head coach of the team? Because for me, I'm gonna tell you right now, folks, and you can pull this episode up a year from now, next year. You can pull up the preseason show. This Atlanta Falcons team, with Arthur Blank making the decision he made this year, he put this team back 2 years. He put them back 2 years. And when I say putting them back 2 years, what I'm saying, you decided to keep Dan Quinn another year. Well, most likely, I don't see a lot happening next year. I'm telling you, we might win maybe 1 or 2 more games we did this year. But if Dan Quinn is released next year, that means it's going to take 2 more years before we can get this team back where they are right now. Now, and saying all that, keep in mind, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Freeman, Debo, some of these guys we got, they might not be here at that time. At that point in time, we got a pretty good offense right now. We got Matt Ryan's quarterback, Julio Jones, receiver. We got Ridley. We got a pretty good thing. I just don't see. I'm not blaming the players. Well, we got some players that need to be replaced, but for the most part, we got probably one of the better offenses in the NFL. Duo, receiving core. I mean, New Orleans even trying to they even trying to get another receiver so they can boost up their receiving core. But I just think if Dan Quinn don't do it next year, and for some reason we decide to release him, we just put our team back 2 years, because it takes at least a year for a coach to come in and to get his program underway and to be able to have a winning program. So I just don't. I guess my question is to you. You got to change the thought. What do you think is good? What's good about keeping Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff?
Well, let me say it like this, ladies and gentlemen, and hear me clearly. Early on, as I said before, I was all for moving Dan Quinn. It was based on 3 reasons, really. One, where we were at the time, and that was some of my emotions, even though the season was early on. Secondly, what happened to us in the Super Bowl, so I was taking in that account for Dan Quinn's full body of work up until this point. And the third part about it was, listen, it's time for a change based on the fact that we got core players that are in their prime. That's what I felt at that time. after Arthur Blank made his decision, I sat back and thought about it real hard, and I looked at it this way. First and foremost, it's always a very difficult decision and a great chance your team could go in the worst direction when you make a coaching change. You must keep that in mind. There's always an adjustment. So here we are as a team. We just got this guy here, been on it. 4 years this man been on this job. In the 4 years that he's been here, we went to the Super Bowl, and we should have won that Super Bowl, you all. But we were there. Something no other coach have did but one time in Atlanta Falcons history. And I'm not going to conclude that as the reason to keep him, but he has made this team a winning team in his most part. Because if you look at his overall record, he's won more games than he's lost. Plus getting us to the Super Bowl. Okay? When you take into account the coaching change, all right, that is a factor. Here's another thing. The players were 100% behind this coach. And based on that right there, it was evident how they played in the second half. They fought for him. They realized the problem wasn't just him, it was them. Yes, he needed to do some things, and he did it. And the thing that he did, they got on track. They played better. I love the fact that we have now moved up. We are now officially have a defensive coordinator.
I can't agree with that part about the players liking him. I was always taught especially in sports and in coaching, if everybody likes you, you ain't doing your job. So I mean, I don't agree that everybody liking him.
Yeah, but still, listen. I know this. I believe this. I don't know it. Whenever a coaching change is made, it is some conversation, either directly or indirectly, with key players, of not all the players, as how you feel about this guy. Dan Quinn is loved by Arthur Blank, the organization, the players, everybody.
Loving nobody's not going to give us a winning record, Eddie. That's not going to give us a winning record. We need somebody coming here. I need a still boy from Pittsburgh. I need somebody to come here and get up in these players' face and make sure this thing is happening.
You don't think he's doing that?
No, I don't see it. My quarterback is going to the sideline, going 3 and out, going to the sideline, sitting on his ass. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I mean, sitting down and holding his helmet and not doing anything. I need somebody to go in and say, look, I need you to pick up that tablet and figure out what's going on. I need you to pick up that tablet. I need a quarterback coach, not a quarterback buddy. I need a quarterback coach.
Do you think that would make his play? Do you think that would make his play better? That
I think it'd be a lot better because at least you know what's going on. It's the reason they got that tablet out there. It's a lot of players are using that tablet. Coaches are using that tablet because in the ball game, in any NFL ball game on this day and time, just like we were talking about, there's running quarterbacks and pocket quarterbacks. Listen, things change. Coaches are not just waiting to the halftime or to the end of the ball game to change their game plan. You got to be able to see what happened on that last possession and see where your open receiver is and see what kind of coverage going on, because you don't always see it on the field. And sometimes the quarterback needs to see it for himself than just instead of having a coach just calling it over.
I'll accept that. But, yeah, the talent is a factor. But here's where I think it's more than just the talent. The OC need to be communicating with him. Does he get on the headset? The OC is not on the sideline. So the OC need to get on the headset and let Matt need to put the headset on. Or the OC need to come down there on the sideline.
We went through 8 ball games. 8 ball games. We won 1 out of 8 ball games, and your quarterback continues to do the same thing.
We know what
your coach said nothing.
When you look at this season.
Your quarterback coach sitting on the sideline looking at the tablet by himself. Quarterback doesn't have headphones on. I mean, nobody's telling him anything. It's obvious. Nobody, I've seen quarterbacks on the sideline with headphones on because at least they're talking to the offensive coordinator in the booth or whatever. But this quarterback, I'm saying this because this is what I see. I don't see everything. But I'm comparing to other quarterbacks. I'm comparing to other teams that has a winning record. I'm watching Lamar Jackson sit on the sideline with headphones on. He might not look at the tablet, but he got his headphones on, and the coach is telling him what's going on.
You're extrapolating one specific act and saying that's the whole reason for them losing. We both just agreed that the main problem for the Falcons this year was the defense not, the change that was made for the defense. If this change had been made earlier, I just put out we could at least won 10 in 11 games. We might have got to that 12. We already they won. Then in the second half of the season, they played 8 games the first half. They played 8 games the second half. In the second half of this season, the Falcons went 6-2. They won their last 4 games. So that's telling me all that you're saying about the tablet and all of that about what Matt doesn't do. Yeah, that's still a factor.
You gotta put points on the board, man. You gotta win. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you right now here. I'm gonna tell you here and right now on the mic. The Falcons won't win but 10 games next year. They won't win but 10 ball games, if that many, Eddie. I'm telling you, y'all can make excuses every year. Every year is some type of excuse for these Falcons. It's a problem. Well, the offensive line is a problem. No, it's not the offensive line. Stop blaming people and get out of space. Go ahead.
I can't argue with you that may be true. They may win less than that. But here's what I say to you. If you had brought a new coaching staff in here, hear me when I say coaching staff. Now, you could go in here and say, okay, I'm going to bring a head coach in here, and everybody else on the staff is going to stay. Which usually doesn't happen like that, and usually that's a bad recipe because now the coach got to get on the page with the other guys, and you going to basically say, come in here and run the same offense or defense. You can't do that. So when you said replace this whole coaching staff, it usually takes 2 years, at least 2 seasons for a new coaching staff to get on track with the team. So you replace Dan Quinn right now in the coaching staff. Now we don't set this team back.
You know what I would do?
Let me finish. We don't set this team back for 2 years, Dee, just getting on page. We more than likely. A new coach and his staff could have came in here and the staff could have went to the Super Bowl. It's what happened with Shanahan and Mike when Shanahan came in here. And that whole offensive coaching staff. The Falcons struggled. They went 8-8 the first year, and the next year they went to the Super Bowl. So way down, I would assume I might look at it like I got the core guys in place, meaning the staff. They did very well in the second half. They look like based on the second and how they did, they made a change, and now we're on a winning track. I would be wrong of taking more of a risk to break that up and bring a new coaching staff in here, and now we got 2 more years to catch up with. Now in 2 years, Matt Ryan got 2 years older, Julio 2 years older, Debo 2 years older, because Freeman probably going to be gone. There will be a few guys on this team that's going to be gone, and I welcome them be gone because we got to shuffle this thing up. But I like the move when you look at it. It makes more logical sense when you look at the core of this team, D. The core of this team right now is the 2 new guys they picked up on the offensive line in the draft, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and Freeman. Not Freeman, but Calvin Ridley. That's the core of your offense side of the ball. Hooper, the tight end, is probably going to be gone. I would love if the Falcons can keep him. There was some – I read, let me throw this in. I read on yesterday that the Falcons readjusted Debo and Matt Ryan's contract and got cleared up $12 million. So they got some money under some money that wasn't there under the cap. Okay, all right. On the defense side of the ball, you got Debo, you got Grady Jarrett, and you got a few of those defensive backfield guys. Well, if you get rid of, you see what I'm saying? So you got to keep the core of the team. This team still is a Super Bowl. I won't say right now in terms of what I've seen over the last 2 years. I won't go to say
it is not going to happen with this team, with this coach right now. It's not going to happen. We went once before. We had Shanahan. He was the reason for the season. It is not going to happen with this coaching staff that we have right now. And Dimitrov we wasted our time getting rid of Sanu. We should have kept Sanu. I don't care what everybody's saying that, well, we couldn't keep him. Why couldn't we have kept him? Ridley's hurt. Julio's the only receiver we got right now.
Sanu was going to be a free agent this year. For us to have retained him, we would have had to give him max dollar. This dude is 32 years old. And we got 2 top flight receivers already. We got a 1 and a 2. The one is Julio and Calvin Ridley is number 2. It's useless to have Sanu here. It would be stupid to hold on to him. You can't make it number 2 when you got Ridley. Ridley's the future. Now, so from my point of view, you say give up. Think about what I just told you. You said bring a new coaching staff here. All right, now let's set us back 2 years. Because Matt Ryan got to learn, the offense got to learn a whole new offensive system, and then the defense got to learn a whole new defensive system. So we talking 2 years. That's 2 years. Right now, by keeping what we have here, I guarantee you, if the Falcons hadn't played the way they played down the stretch, I really believe Arthur Blank would have gotten rid of this coaching staff. He would have gotten rid of this coaching staff. They say they played on the second half of the season, like they played on the third. They said in the second half they won 2 or 3 games, and they wind up now. They would have been wind up something like a lot of teams, 4-12 or 5-11, which is several teams out here: Washington, New York, Arizona, Cleveland, Tennessee. I can name 5 or 6 teams that's 5-11. I mean 5-11 or 4-12. Falcons were in that bunch based on how they were playing in the first half and their record. They flipped the script in the second half, D. They finished the season after starting 1-7. Think about this, D. Think about this for. Let us digest it with you for a second. The Falcons start the season 1-7. They finish the season 7-9. Anybody looking at that will be like, damn, they made a miraculous turnaround. And they got rid of their head coach who made the turnaround. And when you can go in there and point out, it ain't like, okay, here's the thing will make it crazy again.
Hey, I'm going to let you have that. I told you, next year, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. And you and many other Falcon, a lot of Falcon fans are not falling for that crap. I'm not falling for it. I'm not falling for it. So what you telling me next year? So you telling me with the same coach doing the same crap we did last year, he gonna do the same crap he did this year, starting out with this not holding out players in preseason. We'll see. You telling me? So what I'm hearing from you, it sounds like we made a change in the defense coordinator. That's the reason for our winning.
Say that again, D.
From what I'm hearing from you is based on the fact that there's nothing changed but the defense coordinator. Since we made that change, Dan Quinn made a change in defense coordinator, that changed everything.
Yes, in this season. Look at the record. I can only go by the record. D. I can only go by the record. And if say we did the same thing, and the Falcons were doing the same thing, this drastic change they made at the break didn't happen, and the Falcons won the game. Well, you can say, well, the team just played better. They went in there and did something specific. When you look at, I was arguing with Ike and many others, I looked at the Falcon offense. In every game, they were moving the ball down the field. They were doing things. Yeah, they were still getting field goals when they should have scored a touchdown. Still couldn't get first down a lot of times. But they were moving the ball, playing well. The most glaring problem I had was I could not believe how we went up against several rookies and or second-year quarterbacks, and they were blowing us off the field. And when I went to 3 games this year, what stood out at me, and I saw it when I watched the games on TV, when the receivers of the other team were catching ball, the Falcon defender wasn't in 5 feet of them. I'm like, there's got to be some missing assignment, or they don't understand. You know what Dan Quinn said he did when this dude took over? They simplified the defensive calls. Dan Quinn had an elaborate defensive scheme put out there, and the guy didn't pick it up. And they didn't understand it because he had too many other distractions, and the team didn't pick it up. Guess what he did? He went in and split the defensive play calling up between 2 of the defensive coaches, which he made the black guy defensive coordinator who's here now, and he had another guy. That guy, the black guy, would call first and second down defensive plays, and the other guy would call third and possible 4th down defensive plays. And the players caught on. The guys, it was a glaring change. And so, if it's a glaring change, how would you break that up when they think about this? 1-7, and they won Out of their next 8 games, they won 6 of them, and they beat the. What we saw.
I hear you, I'm letting you talk about it. You can talk all day long, but like I said,
let me say that. I'll let you respond. Then when I saw the 2 glaring wins, look at the 2 wins that they had. I didn't see the 49ers game, but I saw the New Orleans game just like you did, or you saw portions of it. We killed them 2 teams. Both of those teams are now having won 13 games. And guess what? We did it in their stadium. And you know how we did it? We continued to, I haven't looked at the average of our offense, what our numbers were scoring wise, but I would say they were somewhere around 20 to 24 points a game when you average out over the season. But what we made the biggest change at was in the defense when we started stopping people. When you stop people, it allows the offense to flow, everything. You can play the full measure of the game. But if your game is lopsided, when a team jump out there and got you 21 to 3.
Hold one second. Yeah, and tell you what, big time. Tell you what, it's hot, man. It's really hot, and
I'm trying to get you to see it, man.
Hang on. We ain't there yet. Hang on. I got you. Big time is hot, folks. Big time is hot. But what you gonna have to do, folks, right now?
He called me back. You need to call. Is it Coop? You call me back, or you can.
I need you to stay. I need you to stay right where you are. Stay right where you are. Folks. I just want to let you guys know. We're going to wrap up right now. This show is called Season Finale. This is part 1. Thomas and Big Time talking about the Falcons and what they should do for the next season. I want you to come back and I want you to tune into the next episode, which will follow this episode. Should be Season Finale part 2. So right now, the Falcons, Season Finale. See you on part 2.